Yeah. Yeah. I know they mad for no reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Gotta move fast for a reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Huddling, I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling, I'm staring at charts until I retire. Oh, 700K, I'm selling a Bitcoin. Haters mad, but they listen to this one. More profit coming to my direction. You know me, I don't need a mention. I got the remedy, ooh, yeah. They don't just follow me, ooh, yeah. You say allegedly, ooh, yeah. You would subscribe to me, ooh, yeah. Staring at chart, drawing a line. Make a decision, you out of time. Huddling, I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling, I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. See on stage. On-chain revolution. Youngest. Phone.
Welcome back to On-Chain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire crypto ecosystem. What is up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live from the On-Chain Hour, and this one is going to be absolutely amazing, guys, because so much news in the markets right now. It is hard to take it all in, but we got you guys today. We're going to go piece by piece to make sure you guys are all caught up on exactly what is happening in the markets today. So right now we have Bitcoin around 91,600. It's up a lot. It's up 1,600 on the last hour. So the chart is definitely running. Last night we did run to about 92 before we got taken down to about 90,000. And that was all because of the what's happening with Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell is being looked at by the New York, I think, the DOJ, the Department of Justice. They're kind of looking at the building that they're building. I mean, should I say building or should I say palace that they're building at the Federal Reserve? And it's over budget by a ton, and Congress approved that budget. So there's a problem there. But, you know, Powell came out and basically said, you know, he's not doing this because of the building. He's doing this because I won't cut rates. Let's just cut rates then, Powell, right? Just cut them. But you know, we do have markets, you know, after that happened, gold and silver started to go ballistic. I mean, gold's up almost 2.5%. I mean, it's up almost 10% of Bitcoin's market cap in the matter of, you know, 12 hours. Absolutely insane. Where's that money coming from? Because the DXY is not dropping, right? Silver, same thing. Silver's running. And then you see, you know, the S&P 500 at an all-time high. You see the Dow Jones at an all-time high. You see the NASDAQ nearing an all-time high. But the DXY is not dropping. Where is that money coming from? This is a big question, because if you look in any time in the last 25 years, anytime you see markets at an all-time high, you're seeing the DXY drop below 95, drop below 94. This seems very manipulated. It seems like whether it's China that's printing money, buying gold and silver, or whether it's the U.S. Printing money under the table to keep these stocks pressured up, it just doesn't feel real. You never see this type of price action and the DXY not dropping. It doesn't happen. Go look back at 2021. Go look back at 2017. The DXY has always dropped as the S&P and stuff hit an all-time high. It's not happening. But Bitcoin and crypto, we're not getting a real pump, right? Yeah, I can say Bitcoin's up, but it's up 0.8% since that yesterday. Like, that's not a pump. That's not nothing. Things are getting weird. Is crypto being looked at as a, you know, a right-leaning asset, and buying crypto is looked at as, you know, exposure to the Trump administration, meaning if you're bullish on it, you buy. If you're bearish on it, you sell. Is that where we're at right now with crypto? Because it feels that way. Trump's been on this weird power surge lately. He wants to lower credit card interest 10%, which is, you know, a Bernie thing, right? Feel the burn. That was all that. I mean, Trump's doing that type of stuff. He's you know, kidnapping presidents in the middle of the night using these crazy weapons that makes you vomit and your nose bleed. Like it's pretty wild, this stuff, man. And now he's going after the Fed chairman. I don't know. You can call it whatever you want. I don't even know what to think anymore. It's a wild time to be in the financial markets because nothing makes sense. Now, to me anyway. Maybe I could be wrong. I don't know. But I'm ready to get today's show started. Let me bring out my partner here, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's up, man? How you feeling today? How's everything?
I feel okay. I feel okay. I'm not paying attention to Bitcoin right now because it's just really volatile. I feel like the news that's coming out, we don't know really what to make of it yet. Maybe there's some speculation. Is this going to shake up the Fed chair in the near term? Possibly. We don't know really what this means, right? Because if you're under investigation, you might not be able to do your job. You know what I mean? So we're going to see what that looks like. But it seems like the market's kind of, from a TradFi perspective and commodities, they like it. From our perspective, they kind of like it. It looks like Bitcoin is starting the week decently strong, right? Trying to get back to 92,000. Not super strong. I mean, like, we've hit that 94,000. I think last week we hit it and couldn't get past it. So it's really just kind of making up for whenever we did pull back towards the end of the week. But this is the first couple of days of this week is going to really give us some insight on, first, how does the Web3 market really feel about what's happening with this drama? Secondly, how does this drama start to play out? How does it affect the economy? Because buying more gold up, to me, that's grabbing a life preserver as well, right? So some places or some sectors might feel it later, because right now the S&P, the indexes and stuff like that, they look good, but buying up the gold side of it is like, okay, are we about to go into a more volatile environment? Is that why they're buying these precious metals even more? I don't know, but there's definitely games that are being played by the leaders in this world game: China, Russia, the United States. China has been pushing gold and buying it a lot. So that's my perception on what's happening with that. Obviously, it does trickle to retail though, because we saw people line up months ago to buy gold. But how much of an effect do they have on it? I don't know. Like right now is kind of, we need to get more information to see the clear picture of what's happening.
Yeah, but gold and silver, you gotta remember, they're a world asset, right? Like they're very similar to Bitcoin in that way
Right.
of, it's not just happening in the United States. Like a lot, the S&P is being bought up in the US, right? Like NASDAQ US, maybe here and there in different regions, like London Stock Exchange, maybe you can buy, some stuff, the S&P and stuff like that. But like it's mainly happening in the US with gold and silver. I mean, these are worldwide currencies, right? These are worldwide, instruments of institution. So it's like, who knows what is happening, but we'll get into that a little later. Guys, it's some amazing comments already, guys, really coming in hot with it. Love it. My man Piers Net says, thanks for the follow. And guys, if you guys ever want OnChain Revolution, Shizzy or Yagobi to follow you guys, just hit us up. Just retweet us. We'll definitely follow you guys. We love you guys. Blazing Bandit says, what's up, Shizzy? What's up, Yagobi?
Yo.
Looks like the AWS stack integration is going to happen. Who would have known? Awesome stuff. What's up, Pal? Getting subpoenaed. I guess he's talking about the XRP thing. I don't
Oh yeah,
know more
that was
information on
news
that.
last week.
Coming Tuesday, along with tariff decisions, buckle up with a peanut butter cup. It's about to get fun again. I hope you're right, bro. Blaze Manda says, everyone, are we ready? Time to pump. Mr. Shady with the repost. Appreciate you, Shady. He says, what's up, everyone? What's up, guys? Hope everyone having a great day. And then he finger red number 1. Let's go. Blaze Manda said, what's up, Glasshopper? Glasshopper is here with a good morning. Appreciate you, my friend.
Yo.
Blaze Bandit said, this week I have installed seatbelts on my living room couch. Our time is coming. Clarity is coming. You cannot stop a tsunami. Yeah, that's actually, that's actually pretty funny. He's agreed, Blaze Bandit. It's coming for sure. The political theater program is annoying, says myself. I keep changing the channel, but it appears
I feel that
everywhere. I agree, man. And Blazing Bandit finished up, Bitcoin Gold, Pepe Gold, Brett Gold, Shiva Gold, Solana Gold. My man is in the gold. But let's get to our main topic here today. Crypto loves chaos. A new Fed could arrive sooner than anyone thinks. What do you think, bro? Does crypto love chaos at this point?
I think it's just naturally attracted to it. You know, it's always been kind of like that if you were on crypto Twitter before it was X, and then X continued that, right? But it was more about just kind of the funny aspects of it with drama and stuff like that, memes galore, right? There's no, I think, industry or sector in this world that's more attracted to memes in general, just the nature and of memes, right? Than our space. But with this, yeah, I'm kind of want to be past that. I want to be past the drama and all that stuff, but it seems to attract it. The rest of the title, obviously, that's speculative, right? A new Fed chair could arrive soon. I got to look more into the legalities of what that would even entail. But why are they trying to put pressure on him whenever they're going to replace the chair in what, 4 more months? About 4 more months, right? And so maybe they feel like it needs to happen sooner, and they're obviously, putting him in this situation to where he had to wake up in the middle of the night, put a suit on, and make this this recording. So I think it's probably more intense than we even know.
Well, it was them who did leak it to the New York Times or whoever posted it, right? And this is it right here. Let me actually I'm actually play this for you guys. You guys can get a good concept of what he's trying to say here, because he does say things like, this isn't about the housing. This is, about the building. This is about Trump. Let's get it right into that. Make sure you can hear this.
Good evening. On Friday, the Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment related to my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June. That testimony concerned in part a multi-year project to renovate historic Federal Reserve office buildings. I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure. This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. It is not about Congress's oversight role. The Fed, through testimony and other public disclosures, made every effort to keep Congress informed about the renovation project. Those are pretexts. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation. I have served at the Federal Reserve under 4 administrations, Republicans and Democrats alike. In every case, I have carried out my duties without political fear or favor, focused solely on our mandate of price stability and maximum employment. Public service sometimes requires standing firm in the face of threats. I will continue to do the job the Senate confirmed me to do, with integrity and a commitment to serving the American people. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's it there. He basically came out and just said, hey, I'm going to do my job regardless. I'm not changing, anything. And Trump's doing this mainly because we know January is going to be a no rate cut, right? So what are we going to do? On Friday, this happened. And that's the thing. So the Federal Reserve got this on Friday, he said. And so they basically leaked it to the New York Times and wanted it out a certain time, right? They wanted it out Sunday night before markets are open because they didn't want to push the markets in a certain way. So this was all leaked from the Fed to New York Times. And then so New York Times posted this, and then Jerome Powell was ready with his video, and then they posted it a few minutes after that came out, his response there. So it was definitely something that they thought about all weekend, and they're finally like, all right, let's do this. So that was a big thing. But after hearing that, what do you think?
I mean, I have a lot of thoughts about the Fed, but I think there's a lot of full throttle that's happening right now with this administration. They also realize that midterms are very close, and there's things that need to happen for them to probably get back into more favor with the public. And one of them is the feel like the economy's I don't know, gonna look really strong, look really healthy. But the thing is you talk about like TradFi markets and stuff like that look good. So is this more to try to make the digital asset markets stronger? Is that why they're trying to push this? To the Fed to continually just ease and cut more and more. I don't know, but at the end of the day, this is he just straight up said it. I don't think he sugarcoat. That's like Jerome Powell's way of just being very, very straightforward of what he thinks, because he basically said this has nothing to do with the building. This is them basically trying to blackmail, and I didn't give into it. Is what I took from that. But the Fed, and overall, I know that they put on this picture that like they're here to stabilize the economy for the everyday American. I don't know. The Fed is a part. They lead the banking system as well. So what they also focus on is who controls the money as well in our country, in my opinion. But with that being said, of course they can't let it collapse, and they have to have this kind of cyclical, time of down for our economy, and then good, and then down and good. It can't always be good, and I understand that part as well.
Yeah, for sure. But a $3 billion building, taxpayer bought, right? Taxpayer bought for a building that, for people that are not even voted in, right? People are, crying about Trump's ballroom at the White House, but that's being fully funded from outside money, from, NVIDIA, from Facebook, from Apple, right? That's all donations from these big leaders. So, taxpayer $3 billion for a
Dude, what
building.
is that? Like, what, like, why? What, 3 billion?
Yeah,
Like,
that's what the Fed buildings cost. $3 billion.
I know, but like, are they putting like, what's in there? Like, is everything made of gold? Is it all like gold plated? Like $3 billion? That's insane for like in any office building.
It doesn't even look great. I'm gonna see if I can find the photos. I have them right here. Anthony Papagliano posted it. So I remember my screen up real quick.
Like, what cost $3 billion, man?
Look,
Like,
this is it.
well, oh. How many employees do they have in there?
I don't know. It looks like such a small building. Where is this? Is it fraud? I guess, is it fraud?
So
like, where is this money going?
That's where I think there might be something here. You know what I mean? Because there's constant, like, we're starting to learn that there's very intelligent ways to package funds. We saw what happened with Minnesota, right? That's something that obviously is just not being checked into previously, like really deeply. So $3 billion is a lot of money, man. Like, I think you could build an amazing building with 100 million.
Build a castle with 100 million.
Like you can build probably like 5 amazing buildings with $100 million. Amazing.
So we have this children's hospital of Philadelphia. It's like one of the famous children's hospitals in the world. That was about $100 million renovation, right, on that building. I mean, we're talking 30 times. And the Chop building is beautiful. If you ever have to go there for whatever reason, it's one of the most nicest buildings I've ever been in. And that was $100 million renovation. This is 30 times more than that. You know what I mean? Like, that is insane.
And another thing too is that, like, the way that our regulatory and kind of management entities, a lot of them, they're private, to where, like, yes, they have an association with the government to be able to use taxpayer money. You know what I mean? And obviously, like, print money for the government to use, but they're not a public entity, and they say, well, that's so we don't, we can separate, we don't have to have political pressure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, there's many other things that you can benefit from being private and not public, other than not getting pressure from the administrations that are serving. You know what I mean? Like, I get what their point is with like saying, oh, we have to be private for that. But at the end of the day, you're still using taxpayer money like you are a public entity. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so, I think a lot of this stuff is coming to light, and it's gonna be even more transparent to the people of this country that like this is how the government works, and I'm not sure it's the best approach.
No, and I feel like they just have these open freaking checkbooks. Like it's like it's insane. And Congress approved a portion of this money, like at least 2 billion of this, right? We're 1.7 billion or whatever it is. For them to approve that is ridiculous for buildings, right? Like especially when cities look the way they do. It's insane. It's really insane. But Trump's, this all happened this weekend. There's a couple other things that happened this weekend too that Trump's like, power going through right now. So Trump pushes 10% credit card rate cap and housing affordability measures, which I would love because I'm not gonna lie to you, I've been using my credit cards way more than I want to anymore. So these payments are coming out and they're coming out strong here. And he also directed Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to buy 200 billion in mortgage-backed securities, helping drop 30-year fixed rates to 5.9%. So this is another way to get housing. I just think Trump is trying to get. That's why he wants interest rates down. Interest rates drop a little bit. I think he thinks that like the housing price is going to drop, but it's going to work the opposite way. Housing prices are going to go up when interest rates drop because there's going to be more of a bidding happening on these houses, right? So I don't know what his plan here is, because if you do drop interest rates, it's going to have more and more people going out and saying, you know what, let me, do this, let me refinance, let me do all this stuff.
But that's good for the economy though.
Is it good for the economy when, your normal single family home is 500K? No,
well,
not at
if
all.
you can afford it though, right? So if you're able to, bring the
if you can
interest
afford
rates
a
down,
$3,000 mortgage,
well,
like,
no, it would be cheaper because the interest rate would go down.
no, it
Right? So
wouldn't, because
your
now,
monthly
no,
payment
that's
would be.
no, because then the housing pricing goes up.
Yeah, but
Because there's more
not
people
all
bidding.
housing prices will go up. It depends on like the
That's what
market that
happened in
you're.
2021.
I know, but it
Interest
depends
rates
on
dropped,
the.
housing prices doubled.
It depends on the market that you're in as well, though, right? You know what I mean? If it's like not as highly sought after, this area that I live in, or the metro area, has been a hotbed for a long time. But like if you live here, you might try to go to like a newer suburb that's just starting to develop, because your housing prices, you can get it cheaper. People have those type of options instead. You know what I mean? But they'll still be able to have a like more affordable monthly fixed payment, because the interest rate will lower for them, and then like they're gonna buy a house that might be 100,000 cheaper if they drive 20 minutes further out. So I mean, at least there's options. And one other thing too is that millennials were able to benefit from the last mortgage interest cuts, right? But who wasn't? Gen Z wasn't at all. So they will take advantage of it regardless. You know what I mean? Because they'll get into a condo or whatever, because a lot of them are young business professionals that have like salary jobs, so they can afford it.
I'm telling you, man, if you get interest rates back down to 1-2%, you're going to see housing prices skyrocket.
Homeowners will love it,
dude. Yeah, but I mean, the people, that doesn't help the Gen Z that you just mentioned.
It will help them because it'll help them because the reason why, I'll tell you why.
That 2% isn't helping them.
Well, they didn't buy houses because they weren't at that part of their life. So like Gen Z was just getting established as a young business professional during COVID time, right? So for them, they weren't looking to buy houses. Who were looking to buy houses? Like young millennials, right? That group was, and they bought houses galore. They were buying houses galore. So Gen Z will repeat the activity that the young millennials were doing during COVID. And so they'll be able to get in the home because they'll feel like it's more affordable because of the interest rates. I mean, that's what happened.
Dude, think about what you're saying. The house are going to go up 30, 40, 50%.
But they still bought,
they still bought. Yeah, but now everyone's struggling right now because they got these overbought mortgages, buying houses that were so inflated in prices where their mortgage is insane. 35.
I'm not hearing people are struggling right now with that.
No, dude. I'm telling you, I hear it from my sister all the time. She's like, people are calling her about refinancing and stuff like that, like all the time.
They're going to be able to refinance.
Like, you got to wait 9 months. You got to wait this month, and they're really struggling.
Well, then they can refinance when these rates dump.
Yeah, but then they got 50-year mortgages because they already locked in a 30. How far can you go?
Well, at that point, you're still getting your monthly payment down big time.
No, at a 50-year mortgage, but then you're paying 50 years.
Yeah, but you're already paying 30 anyways. You know what I mean?
Dude, no, that's 20 years. Like that's
Yeah,
of the
but my point is,
no.
dude, you're going to tell me that they're not going to refinance? Everybody's going to if they get the interest
At
rates
a
low again.
50-year mortgage? You
Everybody
might as well
did it.
die.
It's
You might as well
it's
die.
already been proved
Oh my God.
that it happened. It happened. Like it's evidence. It
You're telling
happened
me
in
right now
2021.
you would refinance when the
No,
rates
I
up for a
wouldn't because
50-year
my
mortgage?
rate's amazing. I got.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It can't get better than what I got though.
You guys
But it
got
can't.
zero?
No, I mean, it got close. It's you
Yeah.
get what I'm saying. I'm not going to get better. So, but there are people that will because they ended up buying after rates started going back up. You know what I mean? Those people will refinance. Their price is already locked in. I'm telling you, it's going to be better for those people.
No, we got to agree to disagree on that because I think you are
We
really wrong.
can.
But we'll move on. The Fed added $105 billion to its balance sheet, the largest since 2023 banking crisis. The surge in liquidity could lead easier financial conditions and more risk. So this is something no one's really talking about. The Fed is buying. They said they were though, so this isn't something that's like out of ordinary. But they've been buying and buying and buying. And I do have a chart here if I can find it. Yeah, is this it right here? Yep. So you can kind of see what's been happening. I mean, it's just been since 2025 January. It's they've been just selling, and as of December or November, they've just been buying. This thing's back up to where we were in September. So the selling has stopped. We know that. So now they're coming in and they're buying bonds. Man, this is something. It's good to see, but how high can this thing really get back? I mean, they're going to get back to $7 trillion by the end of this year. I think so.
Well, the good thing about that is that this is the first like reversal of trend that we're seeing. The evidence is right there. It's pretty clear, at least going back to the January of 2025.
Yeah.
And it's very clear that it is a reversal of trend. When does this start to, when will we feel something in the markets from this? I don't know, but it's definitely something that's changed. And we'll see how high. I mean, obviously, the expectation is that it's going to do the opposite of what we saw in 2025. So the uptrend has started. We'll see, if this continues.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is quantitative easing, right? This is exactly what this is. Quantitative easing, though, the actual state of it is them buying every day. And this has been, I mean, it seems like it's every day at this point. I mean, we're seeing $100 billion, $105 billion. We could see a lot more money coming in. I'm hoping for it. But, like I said before, in December of 2021 is when they stopped quantitative easing. They didn't announce quantitative tightening until June. Took 6 months of them actually doing it here and there to say, hey, this is 100% now. We're going full throttle now. So we might have to do the same thing. They cut it in December. Might have to wait till June to for them to say, hey, okay, we're in full on quantitative easing, but there'll be a new Fed chairman too. So that's very likely that by June we're going to be entering quantitative easing, and this is accelerated 10x.
So what's the expectation there? I think a more liquid environment in those later months, right? So, I think the setup is perfect for everybody being doom and gloom, everybody feeling like, just depressed in 2025. And then in the beginning of 2026, nothing's changed, et cetera, et cetera. And then all of a sudden you start to feel it in the middle of the year and you're like, oh, wow. And then it gets really, because you got to remember the business debt cycle too got extended a year because of COVID. So that throws off a lot of the environment situation, right? We're going to see if that's true. What was his name? Raoul Pal. He's the one who's that brought that up, and it makes sense. So we'll see if it plays out.
Yeah, we have a lot of comments today from Raoul, but let's get into some more comments and we'll jump into the Bitcoin price action. But myself says the word mortgage literally translates to death contract.
That's funny.
And Lady Amanda says, hell yeah, I have a pool in my front of my house, Lake Michigan.
Oh man, that's dope, man.
Yeah, that is
in
cool.
front of the house.
It's a lake. Damn, that's cool. Lady Amanda said, I would invest in the right crypto project in like 5 years, pay for a house with cash again. Yeah. I mean, again, he says, okay, he says, I paid $450K for my house and put another $150K into adding a pool. Damn,
let's
go for a pool.
Dude, they're expensive now, man.
Really?
Yeah.
God.
I mean, but the pools also, almost all of them are like Vegas style now because like
Okay.
you know, as times change. You remember in the 90s, like if your friend had a pool, it was kind of like just that same shape of a like, you know, figure
Square.
eight type of or square. Now it's like waterfalls and like they use like all these. My couple of my buddies got pools and their minimum now, the cheapest I see is maybe like high 5 figures, so 90 probably, and then most are going over 100K easy.
That's insane. Stan says we will own nothing and like it UBI.
I thought we got rid of that, but maybe not, man.
What?
That statement, we will own nothing and you like it, because I think that was Klaus Schwab or whatever that came out with that.
The WWE, right? WWE. WCF. Claude from WWE. Let's start with lowering interest rates is good for all real estate buyers and sellers. I flip houses and have all my licenses. Yeah, I mean, the problem is how I mean, you get bidding wars.
I think Shizzy's talking about the everyday person down to the end.
I'm just talking about the bidding wars that I hear so much about.
It's going to increase. It's going to increase asset value. You're right. It's going to increase the asset value, but like, you know, some people, half of the market will love that, and the other half won't.
Yeah, I mean, but even when you sell your home, you have to buy another one. So it's not like you're winning at all. You know what I mean? So the Pentagon can't account for $25 trillion. Yeah, I know. That's insane. That's insane.
That's probably the worst one.
Yeah. Myself says the IRS can't account for 5 trillion. The IRS can't, and the Pentagon, or is that the same? Oh, yeah, I guess 25 and 5. Yeah, they're different.
They're different. Yeah.
My guy Jason Sinkar is here. He says XEN. My man is here. He's bag working out here, man. Blazing Band says something seems off. Sheedy says that building may be able to take a pretty big hit and remain standing. I mean, maybe that's.
I hope so. $3 billion. If it's not standing after like huffing and puffing and blowing that house down, then that $3 billion is somewhere else.
Mr. Unfiltered says a private bank using taxpayer money is great. Damn, I didn't even think about that because they're technically a private bank using taxpayer money.
Well, they are the institution of private banking, basically.
Same.
Yeah. The overall, like all of it collectively, so it's even worse.
Lysop says, can we all just move to a Bitcoin standard rate? I'm down, bro. Blaze Bandit says, thus a 10x bigger than anyone expected. 10 times the people, 10 times the coins, 10 times the money. My man is strong. I love Ryan, man. Appreciate every single one of you guys. Any other comment? I like when Shizzy reads the comments backwards. Yeah, I shouldn't do that.
It's like reading a storybook backwards. It's kind of like, you know, the answer comes before the question.
I know, it's like Jeopardy. You guys just have to guess the question. And then when Fort Knox audit. Yeah, I mean, I think we're all waiting for that. But I appreciate every single one of you guys. Let's get into today's Bitcoin and crypto price action. Excited for this one.
Yep. Let's do it, guys. But before we do, help us out like you always do on the YouTube side. Smash that like, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, all that great stuff. On X, let's share the space, get as many people in here as possible. And same thing for Abstract. Share that link. And what's up to the Pump Stream crew along with Zora. And we got Twitch and Spotify and Rumble. Don't forget to download your Rumble wallet, guys, because I guess that's a new thing and everybody's doing it. So all right, so let's take a look here at Bitcoin on the hour time frame. Looks pretty good here. Looks pretty strong. A little back and forth though, right, to start the morning, and then we are coming up into this good uptrend price actions. What it looks like to me. I mean, the setup looks really great. You can see the stochastics really, you know, starting to try to head to that overbought territory, sitting at that 54-point mark, and then also the MACD is starting to build up here. You can see the fast line as well, starting to try to peek its nose straight up and down, which would be really good. But again, you know, you go back to where that resistance level has been, and it has been this area here. You see right here, so it's right around like 94. I mean, you go to the peaks here because it wicked up here once, so really almost that $95,000 mark. So if we do get into like this really bullish uptrend for the hour chart today, and let's say we try to knock on the door of 93, 93.5, can we in the early, you know, maybe it's for the first half of this week, break through and actually start another leg up? I have a little bit of optimism because if you see here, the other attempts that we had up here, we did end up back here. Now it did go sideways for a little bit as well, so some similar characteristics of this situation here. So really got to do, if we're going to do it, we got to do it, I think, in the first half of this week, right? Now for the rest of today, I do imagine that we're going to have this continual uptrend just because we're just getting started here, but we do need to see the next, I would say 2-3 out, no, 1 or 2 hours, the next 1 or 2 hour candles here, to see if we can have a continuation. Because if we do, then we could, try to knock on the door of 93,000. That would be a really good scenario. But I like where we are right now on the hour chart. So I like the next 2, 4, 6 hours so far. Now this could flip. Bitcoin's been volatile, of course, but so far I like how we're starting the week. Now, if we go to the 4 hour, this also gives some, I would say credibility to what I just said about the 1 hour. It does look like it wants to have a continuation of this bullish sell pressure or buy pressure session here. You can see it did creep down, but it didn't hang out up here above overbought territory very long at all. So I think we have an opportunity to get back up there and hang out up here, right? So I really like the 4 hour setup as well, giving some support to that 1 hour thesis that we just went over. So I really like where we are again for the start of this week for Bitcoin. Looking at the daily does look a bit extended though. You can see here, right? We did hang out in overbought for quite some time. If you go back to the beginning of, end of November, beginning of December, but that was a while ago. It was, about a month ago. So then we dipped down here. We didn't stay in oversold territory very long at all. So that's the only thing that kind of worries me. But if we are in a bullish, environment, at least for, this next week, maybe 2 weeks, then that makes sense for us to kind of go back up and hang out over here, right? I think a lot of the news with the Fed and all that stuff is going to play out, here in this next week to see if it's a nothing burger or if it's going to, make our markets more bullish or maybe bearish, maybe time. But so far, it's not reacting bearishly. I'll tell you that. So the daily looks pretty okay. It looks extended for sure. I'm not going to lie on the MACD. And we have been up here and overbought, quite some time going back to November for the daily chart. But again, if we're going to have a bullish week to a week and a half and then maybe finish the month with some pullback, then that's okay. And I expect us to go back into this region, maybe hang out here a bit. But yeah, so that is Bitcoin for you guys. Taking a quick look at the weekly chart, because this is something that I have been paying attention to because I like the setup for the weekly chart for Bitcoin, right? You can see down here, it looks like, this wants to continually curl up for the fast line on Bitcoin's weekly chart for the MACD. If we get a good setup here, man, we could have, this week's candle be pretty strong. Maybe we break through and actually start that leg up and finish on Sunday. So something to keep your eye on for the weekly for Bitcoin. That's for sure. I like the setup there. Taking a quick look at Ethereum. I always check both of those for sure, Ethereum and Bitcoin. Ethereum on the hour looks good. Wants to come out of the sell pressure session. Setup's really good here. We did wick all the way to 31, almost 50 here, but it did get sold back down, right? So how does this hour finish out? We got about 13 minutes left until the next candle. So this might be a weak one, and then we have a continuation there and we come out of the sell pressure on Ethereum for the hour chart. Definitely flowing, following and flowing with Bitcoin. So that's what I see with Ethereum for the next 2 to 4 hours, at least on the hour chart there is kind of seeing how this candle that I just showed you finishes, and then do we get that continuation as well? If Bitcoin reverses, obviously I don't think we get that, but if it does continue to march on, like I do think is going to happen, getting to that 92.5, 93,000, then I do think ETH follows through. Now the 4 hour is not as good of a setup, I feel like, as Bitcoin's, but again, it's following the trend, right? So this can have a push continuation as well for ETH. And then just quickly looking at the daily here as well, it's extended as well. There was more sell pressure in the middle than Bitcoin had for the daily chart here, but if you take a look, you can see that it seems like it wants to extend a little bit. Now we do want to see this MACD kind of fast line, the blue line, to tip up here. We'll get a little bit more, I guess, like data and conviction that it wants to pull back up on the daily. But again, following the main trend, the coin that leads the way for our sector is always going to be Bitcoin, at least until alt season actually kicks in, if we get another one of those ever again, right? I think we will, though. But that's Bitcoin, Ethereum. I like the setup to start the week for both. Let's take a look at the crypto bubbles now, get a little insight for the alt market. The alts are more red than green for sure, as you guys can see here. It's about a 70 to 30, maybe 80 to 20% ratio pull back to pull up. You can see Story Protocol is kind of the winner here, pulling up 27% here. You got Mix Protocol, which is a perps and leverage DEX on Binance and other chains as well, EVM chains, up 8.5%. You got Pump Fund up 3% here, and then Monero up 14.5%, which I think Monero has been kind of more green than red recently. So they've maybe people are looking to them for privacy option a little bit more recently. So that's
TradFi is
something.
buying it up. I heard they were talking about it on the stock show I listened to it last week. They're talking about privacy networks and how this one hasn't ran yet. So this is kind of like the laggard of the privacy right now.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Everything else is really pulling back between 3 and 5% on average. You can see here, maybe 2 and 5%. Stuff that sticks out to me is Midnight pulling back about 5%, but it's had, really strong days, and then days it's pulled back, pretty significantly. Hyper Liquid down 3.5% here. Virtual's down 5.4%. So, all in all, it's kind of a minimal pullback, 2 to 5% for the top 500 or 100, and then the ones that are pulling up, they have kind of significant pull ups with like Story Protocol.
I couldn't find no news on that either. I was looking for Story IP stuff. I couldn't find anything on that. It must be just been a huge whale or something.
Yeah, it's weird. It's sometimes I feel like they just kind of rotate into some of these blue chips, right? And then in the top 100 to 200, you're seeing stuff like Cato back in the news. Cato was hot in 2024, I think, and then early 2025.
Early 2025 for sure. Yeah, that was kind of like when they did their airdrop.
Yep, pulling up about 19%. Pippin, the AI meme coin on Solana, pulling up 16% here. The B meme coin on BSC pulling up 21%. You got River up 25.4%. Other than that, a lot of pullback here. You are seeing Merlin Chain kind of pulling back up here, pulling up 5.3% on the day. But yeah, kind of a similar ratio, I would say. Maybe a little bit more green from ranked 100 to 200, but it's pretty similar to what we saw in the top 100 there.
You got to start covering XCN, bro. Jason.
Oh yeah, where's XCN at? Let's take a look.
It's right there. It's right there. It's right there. It's on the top left.
Okay, XCN up 6%. He's probably like, man, he didn't even see it. No, okay, yeah, good call, good catch. XCN up 6% for our guy Jason over there. But yeah, that is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the alt markets for you guys to start this week off.
Yep. Great job, man. On that, as always, head over to some more news stuff here. So we have Strategy has acquired 13,000 Bitcoin for $1.25 billion. Their biggest purchase in a long time. Average price was 91,000. Makes you think, what were they buying at? Like 94? Like, how do you average 91.5? I don't know. They had to be buying at like 92, 93. It's crazy. As of 1/11/2026, they hodl 687,000 Bitcoin. They're 13,000 away from 700K Bitcoin. Insane. Acquired for $51.8 billion. Average price is 75,000. So they're still about $15,000 higher than their average price. And we know they've been buying since August of 2020 is when he made his first purchase. MicroStrategy made their first purchase. So pretty crazy. This is a big boy buy. This isn't that little micro buys that they've been buying previously. This is $1.25 billion.
Yeah, they're ramping it up here. Yeah, I mean, they were consistently buying, right? So even in the hundreds and stuff, so it makes sense, kind of averaging out, right? But man, that's crazy. 1.25 billion, showing the strength, flexing the muscle there.
Let me ask you this: you taking the over or under 1 million Bitcoin by the end of this year for Strategy? That's only 300K. They bought 300K like last year.
I know, but I mean, $1.25 billion at 13,600 Bitcoin. So if they were to buy 300K, that's a lot of money, man.
Yeah, I know.
That's a lot of money.
So we're taking the under.
I'm taking the under.
Yeah, I'll probably take the under as well. Tom Lee comes out and he says, "Hold my beer," and they bought 24,000 ETH last week. Only approximately, doesn't say how much they bought it for, but they have 4.1 million Ethereum now. About 3.45 of the total Ethereum supply. Tom Lee, he is buying and buying and buying. He wants 5%. That is his goal. He wants 5% of the Ethereum supply. 5% of the Ethereum supply. Imagine if Ethereum hits $1 trillion. They'll have 5% of that. It's pretty nuts, dude. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, and depending on how involved TradFi gets into, you know, Ethereum and these proof of stake concept, which they seem to love completely, is because you know they're all about earning, right? And I mean, goodness gracious, like imagine the yield value in USD that Bitmine will have, which would be absolutely insane. I mean, as of right now, during a down market, you're looking at 800 and something million we calculated last week that they're earning.
Yeah. So I mean, they could.
That's crazy. Is all of it staked though?
So they're trying to get it all staked, but you know, with the validator, I mean, with the Q, it's kind of locked in there. So they're just doing a little bit at a time. They probably won't stake it all. They probably need some liquid just in case. But I can see them getting, you know, a good portion. I mean, they have 4.5. What is it? 4.1% of the supply. I can see them getting like 3 to 4% of the supply. Like, you know what I mean?
Wow, that'd be a lot.
I know.
I mean, they don't even have to like. I mean, that's just the passive income that they'd be generating, right? So even if they could get to low 100 millions of revenue from it, that's crazy.
I mean, think about this, right? You know, if Ethereum hits, you know, $1 trillion market cap and they have 5% of the supply, I mean, that's insane. We're talking about, what is it, 500 billion? No, that'd be what is it? 5 billion
off of what market cap?
$50 billion. It'd be $50 billion. When Ethereum hits $1 trillion, they have 5%. That's $50 billion. Just in that's earning. So your $50 billion is now earning 5%. I mean, you're potentially earning $2.5 billion a year in fees. Like,
yeah, but would that be their total? Okay, I see what you. I see what you.
5% of $1 trillion is 50 billion. So you're earning 5%.
But they're not earning. But they won't be earning 5% on all of it because they won't stake all of it.
Well, because you can get 6%, right, if you're staking. So I'd lowered it 1% down. So I said 5%. And well, it really depends on the fees of the network as well too. So it can be 4% sometimes as well. So I'm still potentially, you know, $2 billion a year in just free.
I mean, just a lot. That's, you know, I mean, regardless, it's going to be a high number.
Yeah. Long-term Bitcoin holder distribution has decelerated. Net outflows have rolled over from extreme levels. I have a chart here. Very similar to what happened in, I want to say, you know, November, January of last year. So you are kind of seeing what's happening here. We saw the same thing as well earlier this year in, you know, September, August, September. And now we're seeing here, we did see some green after that, but it wasn't strong. And then we saw all this green back in like May of net inflows right before Bitcoin kind of took off. And then same thing here. So what are you looking at this chart? What are you kind of expecting here? We haven't seen this bad since earlier this year and even early last year.
Well, if we get a similar situation to early 2024 or spring of 2024, then we might have a little bit more to go.
Yeah.
You know, but we saw what happened afterwards because you basically get through that spring quarter and then it's almost kind of like after Q1 they turned it on. So we're gonna have to wait until that situation, you know. But also, when did it start? Did it start in January? Because it looks like it did, January of 2024.
Yeah, about it. Yeah,
but ours is a little bit behind. So you know, it maybe ours started in December or, you know, late November. So maybe we don't get as much of a dip. We don't get that second like lower peak to the inverse peak to the, you know, downside, and then we start the upside. But like we know eventually that green is going to start coming. So that it feels good to at least get that that chunk out of
Yeah.
the way.
I'm kind of thinking we go through something like this though. We have this because we're coming kind of back up here. I think we have one more big down because you got to remember too. A lot of the Bitcoin maxis, they're still thinking we're in a 4-year cycle. So for them, it's like, you know what? Let me just dump here because in a year from now, a year from October 10th or October 6th, is going to be the bottom. Right. So if they're still stuck in that thinking of the 4-year cycle, then they're saying, hey, in October, we're gonna have, you know, the bottom's gonna be in. So we can see something like that. Let's kind of get into some other stuff here. So Raoul Pal. So this was really eye-opening to me. I actually really enjoyed this one. So let me actually show you guys the video. Gotta make sure I have the sound for this one. Sound on. All right. Let me know if you can hear this.
Here's my thesis. The market's broke, fine. You know, we've seen that before, flash crashes and stuff. But the market makers couldn't access the APIs. So who bought stuff that was being liquidated? And my guess is the exchanges had to step in. Binance, OKX, and whoever had all of that forced deleveraging. And they had to step in because there was no market at all. And everything was automatically being liquidated. Can you imagine that happening? You're sitting in front of your screen, the market makers are shut out from making prices, yet everybody's being liquidated in a cascade. What do you do? Well, if you're Binance or whoever, you're going to have to put your balance sheet on the line.
Yeah.
And my guess is that's what happened. So they bought a whole bunch of stuff, and then they've been somebody's been acting like a program trading desk, unwinding a big trade. We've kind of seen it every day. They sell something, they sell a bunch, and that's what it looked like to me. So somebody took on an absurd amount of risk because they had to, and they've been having to work out of it in an illiquid market over time. Here's my.
So he's basically telling us that exactly what happened. Because, I mean, there's no other explanation, right? So, you know, something happened. The market makers got locked out. And the API key, something didn't work. There was some type of glitch, right? Was that manipulation? Probably. I mean, I think we can both agree to that. And, you know, so he's basically coming out and saying, hey, if you were Binance, you were OKX, you were BitGet, you were Mexi, you had no choice but to buy. And buy and buy and buy and buy. So over the course of, you know, the next 3 months after that, you couldn't just dump it all in the market because it would, you know, the markets were already kind of still feeling wrecked. So over the course of the next 3 months, you saw Binance and OKX, and they're just they want their balance sheet back. They want the cash that was there for reserves to kind of be there for reserves in case anything does happen, whether it's a hack or something else. They need their cash back. So that is why we didn't see a Q4 that we would normally have saw, because we had forced selling because they needed their balance sheet because they were forced buyers on 1010.
Let me ask you this. Forced buyers sounds like, you know, poor me situation because they were forced to do it, but did they make money off of it?
Yes, they made lots of money. I'm not saying that, but like, you know, but I think what happened was too, your market makers got hurt. So I think it's up to a lot of them to make their market makers whole. So is that money profit? I don't think so. I think some of it is for sure, but I think a lot of it had to go fix the holes that your system broke, especially if you're Binance.
Okay, so let's say that, you know, that Binance bought up a ton of assets like SUI and all these other ones that like shot down like such a high percentage, right? So they got everything so cheap, like so cheap, right? And then over the next course 3 months, they're able to sell this down, and you can say, well, market makers got market makers got merked. Obviously, retail got merked. You know, the ones that had leveraged positions, but it kind of puts, you know, the power even more so into Binance's court, because it's like they're like looking to Binance for help. You know what I mean? Saying, you know, this happened. Yes, you know, your API was the reason why it happened and all this stuff. So you should do this and that and the other. And no, I think it's more like, you know, can you help us in this, that, and the other? Because if they say no, we're not going to do it the way they get approached, then they're screwed, right? So I think it gave the centralized exchanges even more power in that specific situation, right? And they had all the cards.
Yeah, I think Wintermute got hit really bad. and I think they got liquidated on all positions, right? All positions. And I think Binance had to make that right. So I think the money that they did make was just, I think most of it was kind of given to your market makers. You got to remember, there was a lot of people coming out and they were saying, when this happened, that Wintermute's done, when Wintermute's going under. And it was probably true, but Binance had to step in and resolve a lot of those holes, right? I do believe that. I do believe that everyone who uses it, whether it's Coinbase, whether it's all these companies and stuff, they stepped in and they made sure their market makers were good, because their market makers got liquidated, gone. Everything that they had that was working for them is gone because of these liquidations. And because we heard some people got had 2%. Imagine what these market makers were at. They got destroyed. So I don't think these exchanges made money. I think they had to fill the hole. They had to get cash to fill the holes that they disrupted.
Well, so I don't know if they made money or not. If I were to guess, I would say yes. I think they still made money, because I think they're very, very, they control the markets. They control the mechanisms of what flows, makes the market flow. They, the market makers work for them. At the end of the day, they're the market makers' clients. You know what I mean? So if the market maker doesn't have them as a client, market maker doesn't have business. You know what I'm saying? So the reason why I say this is because I think that over that next 3-month period, I think they strategically made sure that they still made profit while making situations right. Right. So they're probably like, hey, don't worry, we're taking care of it. And they strategically did it. That's why it probably felt so methodical the last quarter of last year, to where it felt like the pain was like, it was kind of like one of those dull pain, not sharp pain. We felt that on October 10th for sure. But then like the rest of the quarter was like a dull pain, to where it's just like, geez, this is like, this is going on forever, type of situation. And, since mid-November, I think it was, or maybe early November, we haven't been able to cross 94,000 with Bitcoin, right? And it makes sense, so all this stuff is starting to come to light a little bit. I don't think we're ever going to get the clear picture exactly what happened, but I don't think for 1 second that centralized exchanges didn't make out on this.
I think I'm in the other camp of this. I think they got hit pretty hard, in the sense of when Wintermute. So there's only one Wintermute, right? We don't hear anything else from any of these big markets. There's probably smaller ones. There's obviously smaller ones, but nothing that can handle what Wintermute does for a lot of these businesses. And I think Wintermute got smacked. And you got to remember too, they made money, but it took them 3-4 months to probably get that in cash, because they're buying assets that weren't liquid. They had to buy Polkadot. They had to buy Kusama. They had to buy stuff that like they did not want, because they were just getting obliterated, right? So they were holding assets that they couldn't dump without destroying the prices on them, right? So I think that and a lot of them didn't bounce back.
But if you do it strategically, then you're fine.
That's what it was. Oh, so you tell Wintermute, we're going to take care of you, but it probably took the whole 90 days to get them back to where they are.
Yeah,
right. It probably took a long time.
Did they still win?
Did they win though? It depends if the losses were greater than the gains.
Well, I don't think they were, but we don't know, because we're never gonna know the final like P&L of what happened with this whole situation. But when you're at the top of an industry, in terms of like you make the most revenue as a business, and you kind of like the top banks of America, right? They don't lose money. They don't lose money. And if they do, it happens pretty quickly. Well, Washington Mutual and stuff like that back in the day, or like the
Silvergate.
The loaning, or who was it? Fannie Mae, and I forgot who it was in 2008 that really made everything. It was the something brothers. I forgot their names, but you know what I'm talking about. Like in those situations where the systemic mechanisms collapse because of greed, that's a little different. Like JP Morgan, I don't think we'll ever see that happen, with them. And I feel like Binance is kind of on their level of a new emerging industry. And so that's where my mind is at. Obviously we won't ever know until we get evidence either way.
100%. Raoul Pal did say something a little different, but he believes digital art will become ultra valuable. So if you hold NFTs and stuff right here, I have another video to kind of show you guys. This one was really, I want to buy some ordinals now. I'm not gonna lie to you after hearing this, but I'll send this.
That's been my biggest bet, really. Is I bought a shit ton of digital art, and that's all been on ETH. And I think the ETH case is very strong going forwards over time. in the same time horizon, I'm looking at digital art, which is next 10 years. And I think digital art will become ultra valuable artifacts. If we're going from $3 trillion to $100 trillion in value in crypto, there's $97 trillion of wealth. Upstream of all wealth is always art. And so, that's my thesis. And the thesis that we talked about in a AI-driven age, these digital artifacts become extremely valuable to us humans because they're human things.
I didn't even think about that.
I mean,
how-
that's what I've been saying about ordinals the whole time. That's why I'm a little shocked that he didn't. I don't know if he knows about ordinals or
they
or
don't
what.
like ordinals because of the, I think the centralized off-chain indexer, right? Like I think that's why they don't really.
I mean, there's a
respect ordinals.
centralized aspect of NFTs on Ethereum.
Your coin stays on chain completely. It's just the image. But at the end of the day,
Hey, if it's broken, that sucks.
Yeah, but you still own it. So the token on the chain is saying you still own this. So it's the ownership mechanism.
So does the inscription
of that
on,
image
on Bitcoin.
Yeah, but it's an off-chain indexer, and I think that's the problem, right? So without that off-chain indexer, there is no ordinal. Without without AWS, you still have a
Vitalik
a
even
coin
said that like we're using off-chain indexing and stuff is acceptable. And I think with the institutions coming in and being more and more centralized, I think it is going to be acceptable. So maybe he doesn't know, is not as educated on the Bitcoin ordinal stuff, and Ethereum's obviously that's the mainstream place to go. But I'd be interested on his take on Bitcoin ordinals and stuff, because I've thought this for a long time, and I do think of Ethereum as well. Some of these blue chip collections and stuff on Ethereum. Of course, I feel that way with the Bitcoin side. Any other chain, I think probably going to be tough. Maybe Solana, you can you get some stuff out of there because it was newer. The newer stuff, maybe Abstract, Barachain has a chance, but the market needs to really develop in terms of the hobbyist side for them to have some attention.
Yeah, real quick with ordinal. If Casey wanted your ordinal, could he take it? If Casey Rodimer wanted your node monkey, could he take it?
No, I don't think so. Why?
I think he can.
Why?
I think he can just go into his indexer and make the change.
But it lives on Bitcoin, though. The transaction lives on Bitcoin, and there's other indexers like the Omnity indexer.
He could just point that node monkey to a different.
But Omnity wouldn't do that though, because Omnity's indexer goes off of the chain, and the chain is the truth.
But no one really knows about that. No, everyone knows about Casey.
But you could prove it,
indexer and stuff.
You could prove it, and that's all that matters.
Is there a court? Is there? You're telling Casey put it back on your.
I think it would just be the court's intelligence. You know what I mean? So if that was the case, someone would complain on X, and then people would be like, "Where's the proof?" And then you show them the proof, and they couldn't debunk it.
I can say it's my indexer. I can do whatever I want.
Well, they would be against that. So
yeah, I don't know.
I think you lost on that one, buddy.
Yeah, probably on that one. I'll give you that. So ordinals will come back like a tsunami. Blazing Man says, I don't use leverage. Won't put myself at risk. I should start reading them this way up. It's hard to know where I left off yet. So Cheaty said wick to low 80K, maybe sub 80K, then moon for the rest of the cycle. I'm actually okay with that. I get, as somebody building a business here, I'm not, but somebody who wants to reaccumulate, I am. So it's I don't know what to think. Blazer Bennett says when Lambo 1,000 in total coins, watch it. Blazer Bennett says liquidity is coming. It's just a matter of time. I mean, it's here. It's just not coming into crypto. Whether that's because of Binance selling at every time we go up a little bit because they're still trying to get a lot of that crypto off their books. I don't know. I don't know.
I want to hit on something you just said though, about, I think it was Sheedy's comment. You said, as an individual, I want it to dip so I can, acquire more. That's you from a, retail minded individual, right? Think about the institutions, what I mean? That's times 10 in terms of the mindset of if they know more than we do in terms of when liquidity is flowing back.
Yeah. But the problem with that is the ones that have the ETFs that already got clients in at 100K. I don't think they want it to dip that much because they don't want their
Morgan
clients,
Stanley
like,
did. New entrants.
well, Morgan Stanley is brand new, so of course they want this. But the BlackRocks of the world, they got some of their clients in the 100K, right?
If you were a account manager and you were talking to your clients and it's it's dipping back down because you hear something about Morgan Stanley doing that, what do you tell your client?
Buy more. Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Sheedy for that comment. Got us thinking, for sure. But let's jump into something not fun. So X head of product, Nikki Tabor. He goes by something else on X. What is it? Okay, it's
Nikita Beer.
Nikita Beer. He basically came out over the weekend and was basically saying, crypto guys, crypto bros, they waste their reach, their X reach on GMs. They waste their X reach, which really got everyone like really buzzed up. Like X, the whole point of X in the beginning was tweeting as much as you want. Now they're telling us, hey, if you tweet, 6 times a day, your 7th tweet ain't gonna get no interaction. And I'm saying that the more I tweet, the less my my interactions are. The less I tweet, the more I get. So if I don't tweet for like a day, I get, I'll see some numbers here. And with the OnChain Revolution account, I kind of tested that yesterday. I posted upon a couple articles and stuff to kind of see it. And dude, every article got worse. It got worse and worse and worse for sure. So he came out and he got the whole system buzzing here to the point where everyone's just calling him a fraud. Because if you look at his bio, it says for Nikita that he is an advisor for Solana, which is crazy. I know you're caught up on all this. What do you think?
It reminds me a little bit of the early 2000s when Google started tweaking their algorithm for search engine optimization. Websites initially found kind of hacks and stuff. For example, like if there was a website that would sell little girls like like ties and stuff like that, what they would do is like put like in the background of the text keywords where they would make it invisible and they would just put like Justin Bieber, Taylor Swift, Justin Bieber, Taylor Swift, blah, 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 right? So then all of a sudden they jump to like the front of the search for Justin Bieber, Taylor Swift, and they're selling like, these accessories for girls, right? So girls are buying them. And so it's a way to kind of get through this loophole, right? And so it would basically decrease the value of search because you're not really getting what you want from a user experience. And I think maybe X is doing that, and maybe they're doing it for a couple of reasons. The first reason, maybe because some of these advertisers are saying, hey, look, we're not really seeing like good conversion results from, paying to advertise with X. We're just we see the traffic and all that stuff is not really converting. And so the quality of kind of giving a good product to the paying advertisers might be a reason why. Another reason is because they just want better quality in general in terms of, and then because what's happening is these people that are getting these like, hundreds of thousands of reach views or whatever per post, they're hitting that threshold of making money every month. Sometimes they're making 5,000, sometimes they're making like 10,000, sometimes they're making 1,000, but it doesn't matter. That's still money going out to all these accounts. And so it's kind of like TV ratings, right? It's like you got to put a good product out for advertisers to be excited about and see the difference. So maybe that's what they're going through. That's the only thing I can think of. And they just probably want a more quality like environment. But it's not just crypto though. It's not just crypto. There's other areas that like produce just vomit because it's just constantly trying to hit the algo and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then what they're basically saying is like the stuff that it's spam. So if you're just constantly just posting news article after news article after news article all day long, you're not even going to be seen anymore. So it kind of affects the news outlets, right? But I don't see that from like Newsmax or anything like that. Any of the bigger ones, I feel like they can post all day long and they're fine. It's their last post is just as good as their first. So I don't know if it's a thing, but there is something that they're doing here. So X had a product. He did come out yesterday. Nikita Beer. Smart cash tags are coming with real tap to view real time prices and contract level assets. You'll be able to take the contract and the hashtag and put them together to where if somebody puts in a hashtag, they can actually see the full chart. And it's all going to be kind of powered from Solana. So Solana is actually Solana X quickly becoming the everything app here.
And that's another thing too. Elon's lifelong goal is it was turning, you know, X into the everything app with payments was a big part of it. So in his perspective, he's probably like, look, if this is going to be the financial everything app, we probably need it to be a lot more serious. I don't know.
And with Nikita being, you know, an advisor for Solana, Solana basically integrated into X allows users to trade, tip, mint NFTs, and use DeFi directly on the app. It does feel like X is actually choosing Solana as their chain of choice here. What do you think about that?
It seems to be a common trend that Solana is being selected as this kind of emerging winner. You know, when you see it, you'll know. And you know, it's kind of like, you know, I always reference .com because I feel like there's such a like comparable experience of emerging industries with Web3 and Web2. But when Google was selected, it was crowned at that point. You know, it was the source of truth for search. And I think maybe that's what they're doing with Solana in terms of, you know, the speed and infrastructure. They're selecting it. Maybe we're going to find out, but it sounds like that's what X is leaning towards.
Yeah, 100%. Interesting, definitely interesting. But interesting turn of events yesterday too. It was absolutely pretty crazy to kind of think about there. So I'm trying to find something for our next thing here. I might have lost it, but real quick. So crypto YouTube viewership plunges a 5-year low. I have a chart to show you guys. It's definitely happening. A chart. Yeah, it basically is a chart.
Don't pull a chart out.
No, I got to pull a chart out for you guys right now. It's nasty looking too. But Benjamin Cohen was the first person to kind of put this out there because he's somebody that I don't know if he made it or where he got this data from, but it's pretty accurate in my opinion. So this is it right here. You can see, you know, we weren't this low since, you know, pretty much January of 2021, December of 2020 area. And we are pretty much all-time lows here. I mean, you get to see this is kind of where BitBoy and Crypto Wendy and Ran, that this is why they got so big and they are staying so because this is where they came out at, right? So it does make you think the people that are posting content right now and the people that are doing this are going to see huge, significant upward momentum once the market comes back. Because once the market came back, and we know January 21 was when Ethereum erupted from $300, $400 to, you know, 5,000 3 months later. But I do think that we're going to see this again. But this is eye-opening, man. It really does show you retail is not interested in crypto right now.
Yeah. When were people forced to stay home? That was in 2020, right?
Yeah, that was back here.
Okay, so this is
you see a little spike. That's the COVID stay home.
Yeah. Yeah, because so that makes me feel a bit better because initially I was like, well, that's probably this, you know, those peaks are probably because people were forced to stay home. Now, mentally, they were psychologically kind of trained to kind of just, you know, look at stuff at home and stuff because people were working from home. That's when the work from home kind of felt like it was going to be a permanent thing.
Yeah.
And so even if we don't reach those same peaks, getting like somewhere close to it, I think would be pretty significant. But yeah, I mean, you know, I think most people can feel what's happening with the trend right now. You can see that it, you know, it's definitely downtrend in that situation where we currently are. And then when does it kind of go sideways? That's the question. And then when does it start to curl back up?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can see here, Benjamin Cohen is the purple. He is the #1 channel in crypto. Benjamin Cohen, the guy who's called everything, like I said, 96% accurately out of the 100 things that he's called, you know, he called 96 of them have been right, 4 of them may be wrong. And then that's just me, you know, my guesstimation. But it does feel that way. And he's the #1 channel right now. It shows you if you're right, you're gonna get clicks.
Yeah, and I mean it's deserved. I feel like he definitely puts a lot of work into it, and you know, a lot of data. He's a huge data guy, right? He's probably one guy that like where data actually works to his favor because he doesn't allow data to necessarily be biased. You know what I mean? And so like for him, and he used a different kind of data too, like more macro, just the crypto focused data for that's cyclical from previous cycles. So
Yeah, he uses interest rates. He uses, what happened past data when, quantitative tightening stopped, right? What happened? Well, Bitcoin 2 months prior to the quantitative tightening stopping, Bitcoin topped. He called the October high. He called that. I remember hearing him say in January of 2022, hey, if you think about buying an altcoin for the next 2 years, take a cold shower. And I said it to him in Nashville. I was like, I remember listening to you and basically saying this guy is wrong. He's an idiot. And he was 100% right. They've never been higher since January 2022. Honestly, like a lot of the altcoins. I mean, you had Polkadot at $30-$40. Now it's $2. You had ICP $34.
Some of the
Now
stuff
it's,
has hit all-time high after that, but
some of the
not many.
newer
Yeah.
stuff.
Well,
newer stuff
Solana
for
did
sure.
in 2024, and then
That's true. Yeah,
and
XRP.
yeah,
For sure. So yeah. Cardano founder said, if the Clarity Act doesn't pass this quarter, then I think David Sachs should resign. He utterly failed. Do you believe that? Do you believe David Sachs failed if we don't get the Clarity Act?
This quarter is pretty. I think at least by the summer, so
Yeah.
end of second quarter. But it's more of just progress in general. I think the progress that we've seen has been mostly from just corporations and institutions just coming in rather than actual law being passed and stuff, which people like him want that.
I agree 100%. I don't think David Sachs. I think David Sachs has done a great job, in my opinion. I think he's more focused on AI. It feels like when I listen to the All In podcast, it does feel like he's more trying to regulate AI. Maybe he's just kind of see crypto as like a second thing. I don't know, but he's definitely trying to regulate AI more, and maybe AI needs it more, right? More of his time. I don't know, but we'll see. January 11th, 2026, which was yesterday, Tether blacklisted 5 TRON USDT wallets, freezing about $182 million per, about 12 to 50 million per wallet, based on on-chain alerts tracked by Whale Alert and reporting. The freeze here means the USDT issuer can block transfers from specific addresses using issuer level admin controls in the USDT. So Tron did not come out and say why this happened. But if this happened on any other chain, whether that was Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, anywhere, this would have been headline news. And this was not headline news. This took me a while to find, and I was like, wow, why isn't CoinDesk reporting on this? Why isn't Decrypt? Why isn't Cointelegraph reporting on this? And I can't find a reason why. But this is happening. Obviously, we know China is an East chain, right? It's mainly used in the East, but freezing, $182 million Tether and not being a headline is crazy.
That is crazy. They're always throwing in the headlines too,
Yeah,
so
I know.
it's weird. But what did we just report on? I think it was Friday that USDT, a ton of USDT was printed on Tron.
Yeah.
Right. So was there some sort of transferring from Tron to Plasma or XPL? Was there any bridging that happened? Was there some sort of I feel like there's got to be some sort of connection to these two things.
They're not. Yeah, I mean, they're not coming out with any.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's why it's not headline news. Maybe they're waiting for more information. And with Solana and Ethereum and stuff, they get the information very quickly. Especially
it was a
from
pretty
XBT.
large amount too. I want to say, wasn't it like $1 billion or $2 billion?
It was $1 billion. Yeah, on Friday that was printed there for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So the next thing here is from the news with the trenches. So I have a lot to read here. I'll read. So Elon, we know, is the Pump Fund founder, says creator fees were added to reward real teams launching tokens. It helped spark the streaming meta and pushed the bonding curve volume and activity up fast. He says it also pushed people toward low risk coin creation over high risk trading. Traders are the lifeblood, and the fee payouts have weak UX. He says market-based changes are coming for fees and the pump token. A creator fee sharing token. Creators and CTO admins can split creator fees by setting exact percentages across 10 wallets after launch. What he's still only a teaser, not fully detailed yet, a bigger market-based system where traders decide whether a token narrative deserves a creator fee and how those fees should be used. So a lot coming in his Twitter post. He hasn't posted since you were talking about for a long time, since his last product that failed miserably, which was it Mayhem?
Mayhem.
So this is his first post since then. What do you think about this revamping creator fees to almost feel like how Bags is doing?
It's better than Bags because you can do it for multiple people. I'm not sure you might
Yeah.
be able to do it for multiple people on Bags. I know you could do it for somebody else. You know, this is interesting, this approach, but I'm glad that they're actually changing it up though, because just the straight creator fees was basically creating incentive for people to deploy tokens, get them going, and then move on to the next. You know, because you actually earn more of a percentage between, I think, like $10,000 and below market cap, and then from 10,000 to bond, there was another percentage tier, and then after it gets to like, I think maybe like 5 million, it drops pretty significantly, or something like that. There's tiers to the creator fees, right? So it basically incentivized them to launch new tokens constantly and not care if this token goes to 10 million, 20 million ever. Like your most money making opportunity is to launch a token, hope it goes to maybe 1 million, and then get as much creator fees out of that, and then go on to the next. And what this will do is, he seems like he's trying to focus on the traders. You know, the verbiage sounds like that, and he's giving the power back to the traders. People have been screaming this for like so long, and you know, they could have changed this earlier, but maybe he's trying to change it to have it in place before, like, you know, things get more bullish, I would think, maybe.
I mean, I actually like that they're going slow pace with this, because you made the change originally, right? It's working. It's a working model, right? People are launching coins because of it. You are getting that aspect of it, but traders are getting kind of wrecked. So I think you have to take your time with this. Like, I feel like Mayhem wasn't properly thought out, and I feel like with this creator fee thing, you can't get it wrong again. Right, you need to make sure that it is working. So it's kind of maybe it's something they talk about every day. Maybe it's new ideas coming in, and they're talking to advisors and stuff like that on the best way to do this. But I think, you know, potentially the pump token to any, you know, airdrop it into any coin that does well, right? Or anything like that, where the you know, maybe it gets airdropped to the 10 wallets or something. Maybe that's a good idea. So it's on one guy's hands to potentially repurchase the token with the pump, right? Or something like that. I don't know. I like that they're going slow, especially right now on this dead part. You got to get this right.
Well, I think they need to focus on rewarding the traders, because that is something that, you know, and this is maybe a start to a different aspect of it. I'm talking about more of like a pump airdrop, right? So focus more on that, getting that ready and stuff, because, you know, the traders are what makes pump successful, right? Obviously, creators had a part in it later because they made them money, you know,
Yeah.
because, you know, they're creating new tokens constantly and all this stuff. But eventually, you know, the traders are the ones that have basically got wrecked, and I think they deserve an airdrop that was mentioned before. But with this new approach, I think it's better, because what you can do also is you can, let's say, like right now, the way it works is like the creator has to consistently be motivated, right? And then what can happen is, if let's say there's a token that gets momentum, but they were only there for the initial bonding or a little bit after, and they took their creator fees, they're done with it, they don't want anything to do with it. But there was someone that started a community, they started CTO, they basically send a message to the Pump Fund team and say, hey, look, the launcher deployer is not doing anything for this, we're taking it over. And then they get transfer of ownership for that account, and then they start earning the fees. A lot of times when that happens, what they'll do is they'll be pumping it, you know, for a short period of time even after that, and they make their money, and then they just abandon it. So, you know, there needs to be definitely different approaches to how you can have sustainability for these communities, because that's why community has gone away, because community doesn't mean much anymore with these meme tokens on Solana, because they just abandon the leadership just abandons it. But if you give creator fees to like a team, now that's different, you know, because it's maybe like, let's say like there's like 6 people and 2 people just don't give a crap because they just wanted the money and they're done. You still have 4 people that might give a crap, you know what I mean? And so you have more percentage chance that the coin can sustain.
Yeah, and you're kind of giving everyone a role, right? If you know what I mean, like you could really set it up to where, hey, I get 6%, you get 1%, 1%, 1%, and have like a 5-person team or 6-person team or whatever you choose to do. And then everyone kind of grinds together because they're all earning. You have 5 people working for the bags instead of 1. And you're right. If someone does say, hey guys, I got a family emergency, I can't do this, then there's still incentive there for everyone else to kind of keep pushing forward, right? So 100%. But with the news from the trenches, are you seeing anything happening? I really haven't been paying attention. I know White Whale sitting at 146 million, got up to 185. It is, damn, it got higher than 185. It got
200.
It got to 200 million. That's crazy.
Yeah, other than that, not really. There seems to be this funny war that's happening between James Wynn and White Whale account on X. I think it's hilarious because James Wynn can't get his coin past, I think, like $3 million market cap, and he's like crying and complaining. It's weird, man. It's like he's like mad because this White Whale guy is getting like attention, positive attention, and he's like a baby that needs like attention, and so he's trying to fight it to get attention. I mean, it's worked in the past to get people to reward, people that act this way on X with attention. So maybe that's why he thinks it's going to work. But nevertheless, everybody's just like, shut up. Like White Whale's at 200 million, your coin's at 2.
Yeah, screw James Wynn. But that's our show for you guys today. Really appreciate every single one of you guys who put the comments in. Your comments mean awesome. We got BWise 10X. He says this is why people are afraid of digital assets. They feel their funds can be frozen. I mean, damn,
banks can do that.
Yeah.
Well, banks can do that too, though. Banks can freeze your account.
Yeah, but I feel like at least it's lawful in a way of you being able to go to court. But
there's
like
rules.
If TRON does it, it's like, what are you gonna do?
You can go to court. But it's like
if Casey wants to freeze your ordinal, what are you gonna do?
I mean, you could go to court.
You know what I mean? Shout out to Stan, shout out to myself, shout out to Blazing Bandit, shout out all you guys, Mr. Sheedy, my guy, appreciate you. Everyone from Jason, everyone rocking with us each and every day. Glasshopper, appreciate you guys, man. 100%. Mr. Sheedy said, great show, guys. Keep pushing forward. My guy, appreciate you, Sheedy.
Absolutely, man. OG in the house for sure, Mr. Sheedy. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. Without you guys, I promise we would not be here. But because you guys motivate us, even on the slower days, we show up and we love to be on here and interact with you guys. So keep the comments coming for sure. But also without our partners, we couldn't do this. So if you could check them out, we would greatly appreciate that. Merlin Chain is uniting Bitcoin strength through the power of AI with their Wizard version 2.0 that guides you through Merlin Chain's ecosystem, but also can help you purchase tokens outside the ecosystem. All you got to do is have some Merlin Chain Bitcoin. You can start buying Solana meme coins that are hot or any tokens over there. And also BSC can purchase BSC tokens on your behalf as well. But going back to Merlin Chain's ecosystem, it can do DeFi functionalities on your behalf, like swapping with Merlin Swap or staking as well. And speaking of staking, Merlin Chain uses a proof of stake security model, and you can participate in 3 ways. The first way is staking Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin. You get paid out in Bitcoin, which is super exciting. Awesome product, a lot of popularity with it. Their first staking vault ended in September, I think on the 30th. They got 17% APR for their stakers. The second one ended on the 8th, and then they're still calculating all that information, but there will be another one. So stay tuned and see whenever the next BTC staking vault opens. But they will always get a minimum of 8%, maximum of 21% APR. That's their goal for their stakers. So just know that whenever you're going to stake. And it is a 3-month lockup period. And then there's 2 ways to stake with the Merlin Chain token. And the first way is a day-to-day flexible option, which you can earn 15% APR. You can claim your rewards every single day, roll them up in a compound interest strategy, or sell them, hold them in your wallet, whatever you want to do. It's up to you. But if you do want to withdraw your Merlin Chain token, there's a 7-day cooldown period for that. And then the last option is the bonded option, which is a 6-month lockup period, and you earn up to 45% APR with this. Same thing though, you can claim your rewards every single day, roll them up, sell them, hold them in your wallet, whatever you want to do. So it's a really cool option that they allow you to claim your rewards every day. But to withdraw your Merlin, it is locked up for 6 months. So just know that before you get into this staking vault here. We were going to have Jeff on. He was still kind of going through the traveling. Hopefully next week we can get him on. But this team is rocking and rolling, right? It's kind of the market right now is just a little bit quiet. So I would probably expect some bigger news to come as it starts to pick up. Obviously the integration with the perps on Coinbase is huge for them. Follow them, Merlin Layer 2 on X, and you can see what else they're working on as well. And we will update you as we get the new headlines from the team. And then our next partner, which is our newest partner, is Satsman.fun. This team is building a launch pad on Bitcoin Layer 1 utilizing ICP's tech stack to make it a good UI UX. They have their Genesis tokens that are out right now with the 7Z and Landwolf that were deployed a couple weeks ago, and they're starting to pick up momentum. One thing about Satsman.fun is, the Omnity team is the team that is behind this product, right? And they're really tight knit with like Odin and the ICP ecosystem and Bitcoin ecosystem as well. So they have the connections for the East side, right? So what they're trying to do is really just open this up to the West. And you guys can, look on their site at satsman.fun to see how to etch a short tail runes ticker. So as the blocks come through, the runes character limit gets shorter and shorter as time goes on. Well, you can actually bid on and be able to etch a rune 30 days before it's going to be released. And so once you start that going, then the bidding wars kind of start there. You can see Taproot and Satoshi in line. And we did one just to kind of show an example with OnChain later down whenever the time for that to be released is out there. But you can create your own, right? And then what you can do once you have that is launch it on their launchpad once they open this up in a decentralized way, which should be very, very soon. You can check out our YouTube library to see some educational videos. We posted one late last night, I think, or early this morning, that goes over the runes market update, and we talk about also like why Bitcoin Layer 1 assets are important, and just getting familiar with this before the market gets liquidity again. I think it's important because you got stuff like communities as big as Dog and Billy, Magic Internet Money, then the Odin runes. It's kind of like that next generation of runes with Crypto Berg at 500 million, BitCat. You got Forseti Scan, and then now this will be the next generation of runes that gets deployed on Bitcoin Layer 1, and you guys get to be a part of that, right? So if you're interested in forming a community, reach out to the team, reach out to us, and then we can get you guys connected with them. But yeah, once this does bond, though, once they open this up and you launch a token, it bonds, it gets sent over to richswap.io, and you can see all the runes that are paired here with the liquidity and are tradable right now, and your token will be as well once it bonds and gets sent over here. So thank you guys so much for checking out our partners. We really appreciate it. It helps us a ton.
Yep. Great job, man, as always. And remember, guys, when you trade on RichSwap, you don't have to wait a Bitcoin block. You can trade, and then a Bitcoin block goes through, and then all your trades are happening. This is very similar to what Arch was promising. So definitely check this out if you haven't. Sheedy, make sure you check it out, man. I know you're a rune guy. Do a couple of trades on here, man. A couple of dollars, nothing crazy, but I feel like you would really love RichSwap and Satsman. So definitely check that out. And if you guys have a few more minutes and wouldn't mind checking out OnChain Revolution.io, some of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you know someone just entering the space, please send them our website. We really feel like it can help them get started and code up to where we are today. Bitcoin consolidates ahead of CPI. So tomorrow we have CPI. I did not mention it earlier. I should have. We got CPI tomorrow, PPI on Wednesday. Bunch of Fed people speaking, but I don't think anything really matters right now because we are pretty sure we're not going to get a cut, especially with Trump doing this thing against Powell. So that kind of sucks. But at the same time, I don't know. Do you think this has an impact at all, the CPI tomorrow?
Probably the opposite.
Yeah.
Like he's not wanting to cut more.
But yeah, check all this out here. And if you guys need a VPN, I highly recommend NordVPN. Check this out, guys. So right now, you get 70% off for using our link here. Every single one of you guys should be using a VPN when you're going to sites. There's no reason to be giving your home address away when you go there because they get your IP. Your IP leads to your home address. Don't do it. It's stupid. Get a VPN. This will also allow you to use stuff like Maxi, allow you to use stuff like Hyperliquid, anything that that you want to mess with and doesn't really have KYC in a centralized aspect, you can use it with a VPN. Highly recommend getting a VPN and Nord. And if you guys are looking for a hardware wallet, Ledger is the best at securing your assets, the worst at securing your data. But you can get these amazing hardware wallets here all through us. Make sure you guys are clicking our link. Really appreciate anyone who buys a hardware wallet through our link there. But guys, remember, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. Until tomorrow.
Peace.
OnChain revolution roll call. Market recap. You're not bullish enough. No. You're not bullish enough. No. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and arching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain revolution.